Well, guys, we are up and running. Hopefully today will be a much better day when it comes to the actual live streaming. Hey guys, welcome to my YouTube channel. My name is John Campea, and this is Open Mic, of course, a show here on my YouTube channel where all we do is take open mic questions, taking questions from you guys and the stuff that you guys want to talk about. Now, yesterday we tried doing open mic and we had some problems. We had some difficulties doing open mic yesterday. Hopefully today will be a little bit better. I think we fixed the streaming problem, so fingers crossed that we do. I hope you guys are doing all right. Let me know in the chat board, by the way, guys, if you guys are able to hear me okay. I think so far we're doing all right as far as being able to hear me, so just jump in there and let me know. I've had a great couple of days. For those of you who may not know and you're still wondering why am I not in my studio, I'm actually up in Canada right now. I'm up visiting my mom and dad's place up in Canada, spending time with family. One of the big reasons why Christmas is my favorite time of year, that I get to come up here and visit everybody and be with my family. And you guys in this chat board, by the way, hello Archie, Dervunderbar, Abdullah, Grayman, Spencer, Martin, all you guys saying hello. And you guys are all saying that the stream is working. So hopefully the stream will keep working and we'll be able to get through the show today. So being as this is open mic, all we're going to do today is take your guys' live questions. So let's jump over and start taking those live questions now. And the first live question that we're going to do today comes to us from Vrinder Singh, who writes, rewatched Ready Player One, love that movie. It's instantly back in my top 10 of the year. As someone who grew up playing those classic video games, it brings back so many memories. Great for younger gamers too. And you know, we talked a little bit about Ready Player One yesterday, Vinder. It's one of those movies where, so it's a movie based on a book, which is a very popular thing to do, right? The problem for me going into Ready Player One was I never read the book. I knew how popular it was. I knew everybody loved it. My wife had just listened to the audiobook of it. So I went into Ready Player One completely cold and completely clean. No expectations, no preconceived notions about what they should or shouldn't do in the movie, no preconceived notions about what they should include from the book and what things they should leave out from the book. And I'll tell you what, I had a really good time watching that movie. I had a really, really good time watching that movie. Had an awful lot of fun with it. And it was just a great spectacle. It was a great adventure movie. And that's what I said. I can't remember. I think I saw it with Anne first. When I walked out of the theater, the first thing I said was, it's an adventure. The movie's such a great adventure. I thought the CGI was fabulous. The design of the characters was all perfect for what's supposed to be avatars living in a digital world. The design and the layout of the real world was also really good. And I think one of the reasons you're not going to see Ready Player One on a lot of people's top 10 lists is because it came out so early in the year. You know, the old saying, out of sight, out of mind. I think there's a lot of people that, you know, they saw it so long ago and now they're making their top 10 list. They don't really think about it. But to me, it's a fabulous movie and I'm glad you enjoyed it, Vrinder, because I did too. All right, let's move on to the next one here. Next one comes from Vrinder. He says, have you seen The Mule yet? Thoughts? Yes, I saw it. Kind of the same thing as Vice. I liked it. It's good. But, you know, the standard for a Clint Eastwood movie is pretty damn high. And I will admit I went in with higher expectations, especially when you consider that the studio moved the film to be an award season. So it's a Clint Eastwood movie with Bradley Cooper, and they released it in award season. Super high expectations. The movie's good. It's solid. It just didn't quite live up to those expectations for me. All right. Tamaya Argawal writes, five best movie franchise except MCU according to you. Well, honestly, maybe you're relatively new around here. I don't like taking, what are your top 5? What are your top 3? What are your top 7? I don't like taking top questions because that's something you need to sit down and make out a list for. And I don't like taking those. I will tell you that the greatest film franchise of all time is Star Wars, and that includes the MCU. Star Wars is the greatest franchise of all time. It has endured for like 40 years. This is a franchise that has endured and thrived, and even after 40 years, their movies still make $1 billion+. That's the best movie franchise of all time. Now, we can start making an argument for the MCU because you guys know how much I like the MCU, but I mean, talk to me again in 20 years. Let's see if the MCU, and maybe it will be, but I'm saying let's see if it's still this powerhouse juggernaut of a thing in 20 years. If it can have that staying power that Star Wars has had generation after generation after generation, decade after decade after decade, then let's have that conversation. But that's where my thoughts would go. All right, what's next here? Ben Heyusa writes, I enjoyed the heck out of Aquaman last night, though I did enjoy Bumblebee more, just as you did, John. Still the best DC movie since Wonder Woman and Man of Steel. And yeah, that's exactly where I put it. I saw it again for a third time the other night. I took my mom and my siblings and Ann and Ray. We all went down to the Cineplex VIP theater in Oakville, Ontario. We went down there to watch Aquaman. And really good time, really fun. You know what's funny, though? My family's reaction to Aquaman was split. My mom thought it was okay. My brother didn't think it was all that great. My sister Heather was, I think my sister Sandy liked it a bunch. I think my brother-in-law Dan liked it a bunch. But it was a little bit split and divisive amongst my own family. But no, I agree with you. Aquaman is a winner for DC. And for me, it slides very comfortably into my number 3 favorite DCEU movie. My number 1, obviously, is Man of Steel. And I think Wonder Woman by a hair beats out Aquaman. So I have Aquaman right in that number 3 spot. So I mean, you all know I like Justice League and I like Batman versus Superman. And I, even though it's a hot mess, I like Suicide Squad, but I would put Aquaman overall though. So yeah, for me, Aquaman's firmly in the 3rd spot. Okay. Vrinder Singh writes, I've been struggling with health issues for a long time. Really hoping 2019 brings me luck. Best wishes to you, Vrinder. I hope so, man. Haven't been on a holiday for ages. I have cousins in Vancouver, but never been there. What's it like, John? Yeah, I've visited Vancouver a number of times. Love Vancouver. It is a cultural playland in Vancouver. It's beautiful. The culture is great. The weather is similar to like Seattle weather. It's often rainy, but it's still gorgeous and beautiful, and you're on the shore, and I just love it. There's some of the best. It's one of the best cities in the world. If you're a foodie and you like eating, Vancouver's one of the best cities in the world. I mean, you got Las Vegas, you got Paris, New York, Toronto, but I'm telling you what, Vancouver is some of the best places to eat in the world. And the diversity of places in a city like Vancouver is insane. And if you're out there, you got to try to get out and see a Vancouver Canucks game, man. So if you're asking me if I would recommend a little jaunt out to Vancouver, absolutely. Absolutely, I would recommend a jaunt out to Vancouver. If you get that chance, Vrinder, I would say take it. I think you're going to have a good time. Do me a favor, take pictures if you do, and send them along. All right. Ben Heyusa writes, Spider-Verse, Bumblebee, and Aquaman. Wow, what a month of December it has been for movies. By the way, yes, one particular song choice should have been cut out of Aquaman, and that's the thing. When it comes to Aquaman, well, and first of all, yes, who would have thought? You know, we were looking forward to this death window of movies, you know, Mary Poppins, Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, Mortal Engines, Aquaman, Bumblebee. And if you had told me only one of those wasn't going to be very good, I would have said, holy crap, that's amazing. But at least a couple of those won't be very good. Really, to me, only Mortal Engines. Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, clearly one of the best films of the year. Then we've got Aquaman, which I think is solid. Bumblebee, which is way better than expected. Mary Poppins, while I was disappointed in it, it's still good. It's still a movie worth seeing. It absolutely is. It's just I had higher expectations, but it's still quite good. I mean, we really did get spoiled. That out of all these movies coming out, only one really, truly disappointed. And for me, that was Mortal Engines. That was just a bad movie. Like, it didn't just disappoint me, as in it wasn't as good as I was hoping. It's a bad movie, man. It's a bad film. And yes, that Pitbull song absolutely should have been cut out of the movie. No way that's... And I like Pitbull. I do. I like Pitbull's music. It just did not fit in that scene. Didn't fit there. Okay, let's move on here. Jay Bling writes, did you stay home and watch Step Brothers again? I did not, but I think Ann and I actually mentioned we should just curl up and watch Step Brothers one night while we're here, just to get over our disappointment with Holmes and Watson. Again, I didn't even go see Holmes and Watson. Once I saw how far off they pushed the review embargo, like basically right up to the release date, it's like, oh, so the studio is saying this movie sucks. And then I saw all the reviews, and all the reviews are saying it sucks. So it's like, yeah, I'll take a pass. I'm not going to use up any of my vacation time to watch a movie I'm not going to enjoy. So I'll probably curl up and watch Step Brothers again, because that movie is an all-time great. All right. Sharon Carter is writing, what's Anne's favorite Johnny Depp film? Ask her. Oh, okay, hold on a second. Let me go ask her. Anne? Oh, you're right there. What's your favorite Johnny Depp movie? Come on. Come in here. Come here and tell people. They're asking. Come here. Come on. So Anne's trying to get us ready for the day. So I just asked her to come in. She just woke up, even though it's later in the day. And Sharon Carter wants to know, what is your favorite Johnny Depp film?
Maybe Pirates?
The original Pirates of the Caribbean?
Because it's the only one I can think of right now.
That's good. You know what one I actually like is this one I've got back here.
There's got to be something in the 80s.
Finding Neverland. Yeah, I think I've got it here. I know it's in this pile here somewhere. Finding Neverland for me. Oh, you got it? Oh, right there. Let me see if I can grab that. This, I think, is certainly one of my favorite Johnny Depp movies. It might be my favorite Johnny Depp performance, actually, Finding Neverland. This movie is fantastic. It's about the guy who creates Peter Pan. It's really great. Thank you, honey. Now she's mad at me because I interrupted her preparations. Can you close the door for me, babe? Thank you, honey. And Campea, ladies and gentlemen. So, yeah, she's going to go the original Pirates. That's a good choice. I might actually pick Pirates too, but I'm also going to throw in Finding Neverland there because I love Finding Neverland. Okay. I'm Upset writes. Where are we at? I'm Upset writes, thoughts on Van Wilder, chances for another one. Oh, I mean, I got a kick out of Van Wilder as much as anybody. It's not a great film, though. Chances on another one, I think, very, very slim. I'm going to say the chances for another Van Wilder film are pretty slim. Big Vic 5BN writes, Netflix, A Little Mermaid, and Disney has a movie. Well, Netflix, A Little Mermaid, and Disney has a movie. I'm not quite sure what you're asking, Big Five, but if I can figure it out, I will come back to it. Tamaya also just sends in a super chat. Thank you. So, no, a biggest CGI Oscar snub. Man of Steel and Pacific Rim. I like, hey, you guys know I like Pacific Rim. I like Pacific Rim a lot. I wouldn't have nominated for Best Visual Effects. It was certainly a lot of visual effects, but I don't know that I would have nominated for Best Visual Effects. Man of Steel, maybe. I certainly wouldn't have had it win any visual effects, but maybe, I mean, just the fight sequences and how they showed that with the cities, with the destruction and all that kind of stuff at the incredibly high velocity that they did it at. I thought that was something pretty new and pretty special. So yeah, maybe. I don't know for sure, but I'll say maybe. Okay, let's see. Big Vic 5BN writes, who has the rights and why so many? Oh, going back to your Little Mermaid thing. Okay, so why does Netflix have a Little Mermaid? Why is somebody else talking about maybe doing a Little Mermaid? Why does Disney have a Little Mermaid? Who's got the rights? Little Mermaid is one of those stories that is public domain, I believe. So anybody can make a Little Mermaid movie. There are a number of properties that are public domain that anybody can make a movie about them. Like anybody can make a movie about Thor. I can make a movie about Thor tomorrow if I want to. But here's the thing. I can only include elements of Thor in my Thor movie that are from the public domain elements of the story. I cannot use any of the elements that were introduced by Marvel's Thor. All right? So anything that Marvel kind of brought into Thor, I can't use any of that stuff. That's why multiple people can make like Wizard of Oz stuff. You can make stuff based on the original stuff, but you can't use stuff that somebody else used in their iteration. So that's why you're going to see a bunch of things like that. Ben Rayner writes, what comes first, Oscar nominations or Oscar host announcement? Good question. I'm going to guess Oscar host announcement. And you know what? It might actually be at one and the same day. They may actually announce the Oscar host at the Oscar nominees announcement day. That's a possibility. But you're only asking me one or the other. I'm going to guess host comes before nominee, but at this point, it's getting late. I mean, I believe the nominees are getting announced within the next 2 weeks, I think. I can't remember the exact day the nominees get announced, but it's soon. So, but I'm still going to go host. I still think host comes first. All right. Ben Rayner writes, you love tech. Have you ever thought about doing a weekly tech podcast? I don't have time. It's kind of the same thing. Look, I'm obsessed with tech. Most of the YouTube channels I watch are actually tech related YouTube channels. And a lot of the podcasts I listen to two types of podcasts, tech and sports. That's what I'm just constantly listening to sports and tech podcasts. But it's the same thing that would hold me back as the thing that holds me back from ever doing a sports thing. I don't have time. I just don't have time. I have absolutely zero time in doing a tech show. So no, I've never considered it. I would love to do it, but I just don't have time. So that can never really happen, unfortunately. Let's see. And that's fine. Tons of great tech stuff out. Tons of great tech content creators out there. So it's no big deal. I'm Upset writes, if Sinister Six happens, is it in MCU or Venomverse? Probably in the Venomverse. Because while Sony is allowing Marvel to use some Spider-Man connected characters, they're going to keep the lion's share for themselves. So I think if a Sinister Six thing ever happens, and I don't think that there will, but who knows? Never say never. Absolutely. But if and when a Sinister Six thing happens, I believe you're going to see that that's going to be a Sony thing, not a Marvel thing. Let's see here. Lyle Naven writes, what would it take for Warner Brothers DC to do Justice League 2? A brain freeze. It's going to take a massive brain freeze on their part. Look, at some point, there's going to be another Justice League. At some point. But the question right now is it going to be Justice League 2 or just a new Justice League? I have a feeling it's just going to be a new Justice League. Look, there is no getting around. The performance of Justice League was a massive disappointment for Warner Brothers, both critically, with the audience, and obviously financially. It was the lowest grossing movie out of all the DCU films, which should have been easily your biggest. It's going to take time. And I do not believe you're going to see Henry Cavill back as Superman, which sucks because he's my all-time favorite Superman. Obviously, Ben Affleck, we're not going to see him back as Batman, although he does have one film left on his contract. They may use it, they may not. 50-50, I've been saying that for over a year now. But yeah, so the question is it a Justice League 2 or is it just a new rendition of Justice League? That's what we're going to have to wait and find out. All right. Ant Banks, 1984 writes, would have been funny if in Infinity War, if all the members of the Black Order survived up until the snap, only to see themselves dust like everyone else. And you know what? I don't doubt that that's exactly what Thanos would have done. I don't think Thanos would have made them immune. I think Thanos, it's totally fair. Remember, the best bad guys are the ones who believe themselves to have a strict moral code. Thanos believes he has a strict moral code. Even though he's quite evil, he sees himself as the hero and the good guy. And one of the things that he emphasized was fair. Doesn't matter who you're related to, doesn't matter how wealthy you are, doesn't matter who you are. 50-50 chance. Fair. So I kind of will never know, but I believe if we had gotten to the snap and the Black Order were still around, I do believe one or two of them would have dusted, because that's how Thanos rolls. So I do believe one or two of them would have dusted. The Incredible Hulk writes, hey John, have you seen Bird Box on Netflix? Your thoughts? Haven't gotten around to watching it yet. No. I had a couple of people I know that I trust their opinions quite a bit, and they didn't like it quite a bit. But then again, I hear some other people really praising it a lot. So I haven't had time to get around to watching it. I don't put Netflix movies high on my priority, to be honest with you. But I will keep my eye open for it. And at some point I'll give it a watch. At some point I will. ZOMG Ruler writes, I know you're not a Dragon Ball or Steven Universe fan, but what do you think of the concept of fusion/two beings becoming one being used as an idea in film? Well, we've seen it for decades. The concept of two beings being in one being, we've seen for decades. There was a long-running iteration of Thor. I mean, Shazam, in a way, is two beings inhabiting one body. The Hulk is an example of two beings inhabiting one body. In the CW Arrowverse, we had Firestorm, which is two individuals who merged together to become Firestorm. I mean, we've just seen that notion around for a long time. It's not like it's a brand new concept, and it's around long before any of those ideas or concepts I brought up. So, I mean, look, even going back to old anime stuff like Voltron, where, different things combine to make one thing. Hell, go back to Transformers, the aerial bots, the Constructicons, different things that come together to form one big... It's a concept that's been around for a long time. So can a concept like that work? Well, sure. Any concept can work if you have the right script and right story. That's where Felipe, the sentient dancing microphone, came from. Is the notion that anything can work if you build something around it that works. So sure, it's a long tried and true formula. The two things fusing into one or sharing one thing. It's been around forever as a story hook. It's worked before. It will work again in the future. And it'll fail again. I mean, it all depends on how well it's executed. All right. SJ writes, when do you think we will get a real in-depth trailer for Aladdin? Super Bowl? Super Bowl's not a bad pick. I mean, I don't know. Like, I'll be honest with you. I'll be honest with you, SJ. I'm getting a little tired of, when is a trailer for this going to drop? When's the next trailer? The answer's always the same. It's going to come when it's going to come. And who cares? They're commercials. I don't really care all that much. Now, don't get me wrong. I am excited to see the next trailer for Avengers Endgame. I am excited to see the first trailer for Star Wars Episode 9. Absolutely. But I'm not going to lay awake at night going, when is it coming? It's a commercial. It's a corporately manufactured piece of marketing made specifically to manipulate you and to manipulate me to get me to buy movie tickets. I'm excited to see it, yeah, but I don't get this. I don't understand this whole thing of, oh my God, when's the trailer coming that we all seem to have in our movie fandom universe, right? So when's the next trailer? It's going to come when it comes. It's going to come when it comes. That's kind of my feeling. I know there's a lot of you guys that are just like, you're counting down the days to the next Avengers one. You're counting down the days to the next Star Wars one. You're counting down the days to the next, to the next Shazam trailer, counting down the days to the next Godzilla trailer, whatever. And I get that. That's fine. I'm just saying I don't particularly, I can't relate with that. When I hear a new trailer drops, I'm excited to watch it. But I'm just not, when is the next corporately manufactured piece of manipulation coming? Ooh, I can't wait. Like, I just, it's not me. And I sound like I'm mocking you, and I don't mean to, because I'm in the minority. I know most of you guys really get excited. You want to count down the days of these trailers, and I get that. I'm not poo-pooing on that in the least. Not at all. I'm the odd man out on this. My answer is always going to be the same. It's going to come when it comes. And it's not going to change anything. It's not going to change anything about how good the movie is, how bad the movie is. It's not going to change anything at all. So it's going to come when it comes. And I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking forward to it for sure. Okay, let's see here. SJ follows up with most disappointing movie of the year. Ooh, I mean, that's tough, SJ, because I would need to sit down with a big list and go through a list and try to figure that out. I mean, clearly there are some big disappointing movies to me. But again, it's not something I can answer just off the top of my head. I would have to sit down with a list and come up with something. I'm trying to think of one. I mean, Mortal Engines was quite disappointing. I had pretty high hopes, but it's not my most disappointing movie of the year, but it would rank there somewhere. Again, end of the year, I'd have to sit down with the list, and I can't do that right now. But I'm sure there's some. What about you guys? Jump in the comments section there. What are some of your most disappointing movies of the year? Let SJ know. All right. Chris Warden writes, thoughts on the John Jones UFC 232 fiasco. Personally, I think UFC did a big FU to all the fans in Vegas who bought tickets. I'm telling you, man, I am getting sick and tired of how Dana White, and I'm a Dana White fan. I don't like disparaging Dana White. I'm a Dana White fan. I'm a UFC fan, but the lack of backbone they have shown and going, you know what? Starting with Conor McGregor, this dude threw a giant metal cart through a window on a bus, hospitalizing people. And how much did the UFC suspend him? 0. UFC didn't suspend him one bit. How much did the UFC fine him? 0. Think about your company that you work for. You show up at a work function and throw a big metal skiff through somebody's window and hospitalize them. You think your company isn't going to suspend you or fine you or fire you? Of course they will, because they have some integrity. And with the John Bones Jones thing, their constant refusal to really take any action. Now, look, I understand with John Bones Jones's latest positive drug test, there are extenuating circumstances. I get that. I do. But there are procedures in place, according to the rules, that when something happens like this, we have procedures to investigate, to make sure that the Nevada State Athletic Commission has a procedure. But they just couldn't go through that procedure in time for the event. So if UFC had any integrity, what they would do is, well, we want to make sure that the rules run their course and the procedures run their course, so we're going to cancel that fight. We'll have the rest of the card, but we're going to pull John Bones Jones. It's his own fault for testing positive in the first place, even if there are extenuating circumstances. It's still his own fault. But what do? No, let's accommodate our superstar. Nevada won't let him fight? Okay, let's pull the card, move it to Los Angeles, and to hell, screw you, everybody who bought flights, who booked your hotels, who made all those plans to travel to Las Vegas for these fights and blah, blah, blah. Screw you, 1 week notice, we're pulling them, ha, ha, ha. All to accommodate a cheater. John Bones Jones is a cheater. He is an unscrupulous, he is despicable, he's just a bad person. He's just a bad person. And I'm sick and tired. And if he does everything according to the rules and he gets another opportunity, fine. But UFC helping him subvert the rules just because there are extenuating circumstances and we want to do this, so we want to make sure we have him on the fight. That's most important. To hell with integrity. To hell with all those people who trusted us and booked their hotels and booked flights to Las Vegas. Oh, screw all them. It's sad. I'm becoming more and more disillusioned with the UFC as an organization. I still love the sport of MMA, but I'm becoming more and more disillusioned with that organization. So, dear Dana White, I think you're a genius, and I think you're great, and I think a lot of us MMA fans owe you a huge debt of gratitude for how you've helped develop and build this sport to where it is. But my God, man, show some backbone. Stand up and discipline your fighters who break the rules. Stand up and discipline your guys who carry out unspeakable acts on other members who are your employees as well. Stand up and show a little bit of integrity and follow. Rules and procedures are in place. When somebody breaks the rules, let the rules and the procedures play themselves out. And if that means you got to pull John Bones Jones from a card, pull him from a card and let the procedure and let the whole investigation play out properly. Show some backbone, dude. Show some backbone. Anyway, that's my thoughts on that. Sorry, I can go on MMA all day. Let's see. Curtis Lopez writes, when I mentioned I Got 5 on It was stuck in my head yesterday. That was the name of a rap song in the U.S. Trailer. Yeah, I'm not familiar with it. I remember you mentioned that the other day. I Got 5 on it. I'm like, I have no idea what that is. And I still don't know what that song is. But at least thank you for clarifying that, Curtis. I appreciate you clarifying that. All right, Jedi Lori writes, Spider-Verse, best movie of the year for me. I can't watch horror for personal reasons, so I didn't see A Quiet Place, but I do admire the concept. So, I could talk, Jedi, I could talk Spider-Verse all day. Not just because it's great, but because it surprised me so much. I could talk Spider-Verse all day because it surprised me so much. You know, you guys have heard me talk about this. I'll say it again. I did not like the idea of the movie when they first announced it. I didn't like the first trailer. I didn't like the animation style. I heard great things about it, and I appreciated the subsequent trailers. So I thought, oh, this could be fun. But I never thought that this was going to be the best comic book movie of the year. and it's the best comic book movie of the year. I never would have thought this will beat Incredibles 2 for best animated film of the year, and it's the best animated film of the year. I never would have thought it would be definitely in my top 10, maybe even my top 5 best movies of the year, but it's up there. And it's when you get these really pleasant surprises that it's an extra joy. You know, as a film fan, when you get those nice surprises, it's an extra little bit of joy. So, but hey, listen, if you get a chance, Jedi Lori, maybe, you know, at home, turn all the lights on in the middle of the day, have a couple friends over. It's a powerful movie about loyalty, about love, about family, and what parents will do for their children. I mean, it's beyond the horror aspect. And this is why A Quiet Place to me is the best movie of the year. They tell so much story without any dialogue, hardly any dialogue in the movie. They tell the story through motion and action and expression. And it's just brilliant. And it's terrifying, yes. And it's shocking, yes. But it's also beautiful. And it's tender. And there's so many good things about that movie. So I highly encourage you. It's not a straight up horror film. So I highly encourage you, if you have a shot in the middle of the day, well-lit room with a couple of friends, give it a shot if you have a chance. All right, SJ writes, who is the breakout star of the year? I don't know. I would again, that's something, SJ, that I would need to sit down with a list, go through all the movies that came out, who were all the stars again, who was relatively new, blah, blah. That's just not stuff I keep off the top of my head, unfortunately. It's a good question. It's a good question. It's a good topic for a video, but not really one I can just answer off the top of my head without any kind of prep. Know what I'm saying? So I don't know. Good. That's a good question for everybody else to discuss in the chat board. Who do you think is the breakout star of the year? All right. Curtis Lopez writes, 2019 is going to be a big year for horror. Us, Pet Sematary, It Chapter 2, Annabelle 3, La Llorona, Brightburn, Happy Death Day 2, Grudge, Child's Play. I'm iffy on Child's Play, but you're right, Curtis. You're right. When you really sit down and think about it, when's the last time that we had an upcoming movie year where you've got so many movies that a lot of even the general movie-going audience in the horror genre is actually looking forward to? It doesn't happen often. A lot of years where horror fans are looking forward to a lot of horror films, but a year where so many horror genre movies that even just the general average movie-going audience is really looking forward to. And you name some really good ones. Us, Pet Sematary looks lights out. And that's another film that I didn't like the idea of it. Like, I'm all fine with reboots, but I didn't know why you'd reboot Pet Sematary. I mean, it's fine if you want to do it, but I don't think it's a good idea. And then I saw the trailer. I'm like, okay, forget that. I'm on board. So Us, Pet Sematary, It Chapter 2, obviously, Annabelle 3, La Llorona looks amazing. I'm sure I'm still mispronouncing that. Brightburn is the one that really got me excited. That's that total twist on Superman thing. I loved Happy Death Day, so I'm looking forward to Happy Death Day 2. Grudge. Child's Play, I'm iffy. I've never been a huge Chucky guy, at least not since the early days. But you're right. It is shaping up to be a great year for horror. It really is. Let's see if a lot of these can knock it out of the park, and hopefully a good number of them don't disappoint us. All right. KW Garrett writes, hi, Pisces. I know people would not let that go. Hi, Pisces. Good news. I got you named as Oscar host. However, Major League Baseball players are demanding an immediate apology for your statements that baseball isn't a sport. See, that's, you're making a joke, but that's just a great example. That is just a great example, KW Garrett, of the fact that if you want to dig around, everybody has said something offensive to somebody and about somebody. And if you really want to go through with a fine-tooth comb for finding something somebody said that could be offensive to somebody else, you're going to find that with everybody. I do not consider baseball a sport. I consider it a game. I consider it a challenging game. I consider it a game of great skill, but I consider it a game, not a sport. And everybody gets mad at me for saying that, and that's fine. I mean, I don't consider curling a sport either. I consider curling a game. I don't consider darts a sport. I consider it a game. And that I don't say that to demean those things. They're great games and they're games of great skill, but I just consider the game. But you're right. They would be one of many people who would object to me hosting the Oscars for sure. Okay. Let's move on here. Murray Reich writes, Saw The Mule and enjoyed it. Great performance by Clint Eastwood. His humor, charm is still good. Story itself can be a little hit and miss. Pretty good overall. I mean, yes, you knew what you're going to get with Clint. And you know what you're going to get with Bradley Cooper. Like, none of those were in question. None of those were in doubt. It's a story that trudges along, and that's what I found. By the end of the day, like I said, it's like Vice. It's a movie I enjoyed. It's a movie I would recommend people go see, kind of like Mary Poppins as well. It just wasn't what I was hoping it would be. Still good. I would still give it a thumbs up, and I would still recommend people see it. But just kind of not as good. And it sounds like you're kind of reflecting what I was saying there as well, Murray, is it just didn't live up to what I was hoping it would be. And that's kind of the bottom line for me. Let's see. ZOMG Ruler writes, are plot holes in movies subjective? No, not really, but that only counts if you have a proper understanding of what a plot hole is. There are things people call plot holes that aren't plot holes. All right. Plot holes are narrative absolutes that stand in contradiction to other proposed narrative absolutes. Put that on a t-shirt. A plot hole, a true plot hole, is a narrative absolute, like something that is stated definitively as a part of your narrative and a part of your structure, that stands in logical contradiction to something else your story puts forth as a narrative absolute. Therein creates a plot hole, right? So let's say this. There's a movie, I'm going to make up a scenario here, okay? There's a movie about a bank robbery. And part of the whole makeup of the bank robbery, the whole movie's constructed around this bank robbery. And at one point, it comes down to the hero has to use a spoon to dig through a 5-foot wide brick wall in 30 seconds to get the money and then get out. And they go through, do. Well, plot hole. You can't actually do that. Like, that's not possible. Your narrative absolute of this movie requires this guy to do this stands in direct logical contradiction with another narrative absolute. We live in a real world in this movie, and there's a 5-foot wide brick thing, and somebody with a teaspoon is not going to dig through that in 30 seconds to get the money. So there's an example. I'm just using an example here. A narrative absolute logically standing in logical contradiction with another narrative absolute, and therein lies a plot hole. There are some people who misuse the term plot hole. I don't think this character would have done that. That's a plot. No. That's not a plot hole. That's not a plot hole. But true plot holes are not subjective. They are objective. You can actually look at them and say, was this defined as a narrative absolute? Yes. Does it stand in logical contradiction with this other thing that was proposed as a narrative absolute? Yes. Well, then therein lies a plot hole. You have something here that functionally breaks down the flow of your narrative that should have fallen apart, and therein lies a plot hole. Now, it's up to you as a viewer to determine how much does that plot hole pull me out of the movie. There are plot holes that happen that we go, whatever, and we just get over it and we move past it, and it doesn't affect us that much. There are plot holes that we watch, it's like, whoa, time out, and it completely makes the movie fall apart for you. How much a plot hole affects you is a little bit subjective, but what a plot hole is not a subjective, because it's something you can actually point at and say, this was a plot hole. But then again, how important was the plot hole? How major was the plot hole? How detrimental was that plot hole to the movie? That's up for the viewer to decide. All right. Murray Reich writes, Jaguars versus Texans. I'll take the Texans there. Cowboys versus Giants. I hate the Cowboys, but I got to pick the Cowboys in that one. Falcons versus Bucks. Bucks are in disarray. I'm going to go with the Falcons. Browns versus Ravens. Ravens have to win this game, and they've been rolling really well. So I believe Ravens. Bears versus Vikings. I'd like to say Vikings, but I think it's going to be the Bears. Colts versus Titans. I'm going to stick with the Colts. I've been riding the Colts for a while. I'm going to stick with that one too. It's a good day of football, though, that's for sure. Murray follows it up with, Holmes and Watson came in under my 18% Rotten Tomato prediction, which the house had. Yeah, I mean, man, what a bummer. What a bummer. The last I checked, Holmes and Watson was at 6%. May have gone up, may have gone down. I don't know. But I mean, I was kind of excited about that movie because it's John C. Reilly and Will Ferrell together again. The guys who did Step Brothers, one of the top 5 favorite comedies of all time to me, and did Talladega Nights, which is not in my top 10, but a really good comedy. And woo, looks like they stunk the place out, which is really unfortunate. But yeah, you nailed it. It came in under that 18%. Patrick Conway writes, Happy Christmas. Planning to start a TV and movie blog when I get the time between school and work. Any tips? Well, first of all, good for you, Patrick. I think more voices need to be added to the online movie and television fan world. I'll say what I said on my show the other day. I put up a 2-hour-long video called Getting Started. So just search YouTube for John Campea Getting Started. And the very first video should be that one. It'd be a 2-hour video that's just all about my tip, both using technology, what techs use, what services to use, some philosophies, all that kind of stuff about getting rolling. And go check that video, and hopefully it'll be helpful for you. And yes, it is something I need to update. That video is now like 5 years old. I need to update that video. And I will update the video at some point. This year, I will update my Getting Started video. And hopefully you guys will find it helpful as well. All right, let's see. Patrick follows it up with, would you prefer a Waititi or Branagh tone for Loki? Well, remember, one is not independent of the other. The Taika Waititi Thor is built on the foundation that Branagh's Thor created, right? The Thor we have now is an amalgamation of the Kenneth Branagh Thor and the Taika Waititi Thor. And the Taika Waititi influences. That Thor you get is both Kenneth Branagh's and Taika Waititi's. So I would be good with either of them. I love the Thor we've got now. I love that he's a little more jovial, but I love when things get serious, he's that Kenneth Branagh guy again. But he also keeps it light like the Taika Waititi. So I'm good with both, man. Again, it's not one or the other. That Thor we've got now is an amalgamation of the two. So I think that's important to keep in mind. All right, let's move on here. Ben Rayner writes, any thoughts on the Kid Who Would Be King trailer? Oh, is that the one where the kid finds Excalibur and Patrick Stewart is Merlin, I think? If that is the one you're talking about. I thought it was cute. Didn't overwhelm me, though. Pardon me. It didn't overwhelm me. Like, it's not like I was jumping up and down my chair going, oh my God, I can't wait to see this. It was all right. It was cute. I mean, maybe the movie will be spectacular, but as far as just the trailer goes, yeah, I thought the trailer was okay. Could have been better. Ben follows up with, I forgot certain news, so Aquaman post shocked me. Don't know what we're talking about, Ben. Sorry about that, man. Let's see. Grandmaster writes, since Castaway, Zemeckis made 7 movies, but only one made actual money for the studio, Flight. When will we finally see another movie from him that's profitable? It would be a shame if he fades away. That's up to the audience. It's up to the audience. Look, all a director can do for a studio. Remember, the directors don't manage the marketing of a film. All a director can do is, once a studio greenlights a film, is to make that movie as good as it can be. Zemeckis does a pretty damn good job of making those movies as good as they can be, but then it's up to the studio and it's up to the marketing department to get people interested in those movies. Or not to greenlight them in the first place. Look, as long as they want to greenlight these movies, and Zemeckis can do a good job with them, they'll keep going back because they know it's not up to the director to get people to come and see the movies. And I think there's a lot of us, myself included sometimes, that forgets that. We forget that sometimes. So I don't know if Zemeckis is in any danger of fading away. Studios love to work with him. They know if they hand him a movie and greenlight a movie he's developing, it's going to be good. It's just up to them to market it. Or if they don't think anybody's going to be interested in it, to not greenlight it in the first place. But that's on them. All a director can do is make the movie as good as he can. And I think Zemeckis, while not my favorite filmmaker of all time, I think Zemeckis has proven himself that he's a damn good filmmaker. So let's see what the future holds for him. But yeah, I'm with you on that. And I didn't like Flight, by the way. I didn't like Flight. I thought Flight was a bad movie. Denzel was great in it, but I actually didn't like the movie itself. Joseph A. Reinhardt writes, Better movie, LA Confidential or The Nice Guys? Ooh. Man. That's a little bit of a Sophie's choice. I don't know, man. They're both great. Look, it's not a testament or any sort, not taking anything away from LA Confidential. It's more of a testament to how good I think Nice Guys is. I'm going to go Nice Guys. I don't think that movie gets enough credit for just how good it is. And it's a damn good movie. So I'm going to go Nice Guys. I'm sure a lot of you guys will go LA Confidential, and there's nothing wrong with that because that's who can vote against LA Confidential. It's amazing. But I'm going to go Nice Guys on that. I'm going to go Nice Guys. All right. Victor Watson writes, I got my top 10 now. A Quiet Place, Overlord. Quiet Place, love it. Overlord, really enjoyed that movie. Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse, love it. Game Night, love it. Ready Player One, love it. Incredibles 2, love it. Hereditary, love it. Annihilation, I was actually a little iffy on Annihilation. But I know a lot of people loved it. A lot of people absolutely adored it. Halloween 2018, that was really refreshing. And Bird Box, again, not one I've seen yet, but that looks like a pretty solid one. Again, Quiet Place, absolutely. Spider-Man and the Spider-Verse. Game Night, not making my top 10, but it's probably my best, I think the best comedy, pure comedy of the year. Ready Player One was great. Incredibles 2 was remarkable. Hereditary was shockingly good. And Halloween 2018, maybe the best Halloween movie ever. I think it is the best Halloween movie ever. I think that one is. All right. Liam Kal-El writes, new rules. We're criminals, Alfred. We've always been criminals. Nothing's changed. Rewatching Batman vs. Superman. Loved Affleck and Iron scene together. Sucks we probably won't see them as Bruce and Alfred again. It does suck, and they did have great scenes. And again, one of the reasons that scene worked so well to me is because what Ben Affleck got and what they understood in that movie was that Batman is the real character. Bruce Wayne is the mask. The real person is Batman. Bruce Wayne is just the facade. And so in Batman versus Superman, when you had Alfred and Bruce talking, it was Batman talking, right? It wasn't Bruce Wayne. And I was really, even though I like Justice League, I was very disappointed that they switched philosophies on that, where now Bruce Wayne is Bruce Wayne and Batman was the mask. And that really disappointed me. You know, because in Batman versus Superman, when there was no facade, when there's nobody around to hide in front of, and it was just Bruce and Alfred, it was Batman. It was Batman talking. Even though he wasn't wearing the cowl, because that's who he really is. And that's what made those scenes so special. And then you fast forward to Justice League, and they decided to switch the tables and that and say, no, Bruce Wayne is really who he is. That's who he really is. And the Batman stuff, that's just an act. The Batman thing is just a facade, and that's not Batman. And, you know, Ben Affleck got that, and I think a lot of people didn't, unfortunately. But yes, I love that, and it is a shame we probably won't see the two of them together again. Der Wunderbar writes, I loved New York, NYPD Blue. Ooh, that's going back. That's a deep cut. The show really took off when Jimmy Smits joined the cast as Detective Simone. Man, I didn't watch a lot of NYPD. That's going back, man. That's a deep cut, Der Wunderbar. NYPD Blue, my goodness. By the way, Jimmy Smits, he's been great in television because not only NYPD Blue and what was that law firm where he really got he got his launch with that one big legal drama. And then he was also in Dexter. Remember him in Dexter? He was fabulous in Dexter. He's had a great television career. Jimmy Smits has had an amazing television career. All right, let's move on here. Let's see. Next up is... let's see how far back I gotta go. Oh man. I think I might have. No, I hope I didn't miss out on any of your super chats. I hope none of your super chats got lost here, guys. I'm gonna deeply apologize if any of them did. I'm just trying to make sure I didn't miss any. Oh God. Oh, it's going to suck if I missed out on some of your super chats. I'm going to keep an eye open, guys, but let's just keep moving for now. Sorry, guys, this thing jumped. It's out of my control. YouTube, at some point, it resets the chat stream, and I may have lost some, and if I did, God, I feel awful about it, guys. I feel I hope I haven't lost any of your super chats that you sent in. I don't know why the fuck YouTube does this. This is stupid. All I'm going to do is cross my fingers, guys, and hope I didn't miss out on any. By the way, guys, if you have not yet sent in a super chat question, please do not send in any more, because I want to make sure we don't lose out on any. All right. Victor Watson writes, I seen the trailer for Us. Hope it does good. When released, I wasn't blown away with the trailer, but it does look interesting. You know, I was the same way. I thought it was more than, I thought the trailer was good. But I just heard everybody losing their mind about the Us trailer. And I watched it, I'm like, okay, it's good. I like it, but it's not trailer of the year or anything. Oh, and by the way, some people in the chat board are yelling LA Law. LA Law. Yes, that was the show. Thank you very much. It was LA Law. But yeah, I was with you on that, Victor. I felt kind of the same way. I thought, hey, this is good. Looking forward to seeing it. Jordan Peele looks good. But I heard like some people like completely losing their minds. Like, this is the most revolutionary thing ever. It's like, evil doppelgangers is a new thing. We've seen that before. I mean, it's going to be great here. It looks like it's going to be good, but I mean, this isn't super revolutionary, right? I mean, I don't know. The trailer looks good. I'm sure with Jordan Peele doing it, I'm sure the movie's going to be great too. All right. Team Shank writes, Pisces. Hey, just kidding, Campea. Have a happy new year. Well, thank you so much. I appreciate that, man. Let's see. Let's move on here. And the next one comes to us from Marcus Robert Johnson, who writes, you have 6 months to train. Would you rather take a pro boxing match 10 rounds via top 10 guy for $1 million or a Bellator MMA match for $100,000? Thanks, John. Oh, I'll take the Bellator match. Just because it's the difference between will I fare 0.1% well, or will I fare 0.3% well? I would fare better in a Bellator match. And in Bellator, I can just do this anytime. I can just tap anytime I need to, and then I'm out of there. So I think the boxing thing would just be, woo. Yeah, boxing, that would be tough on me. I'd probably take the $100,000 in a Bellator match. Victor Watson writes, first movie for 2019, January 18th, Glass. That's a good one. I don't have the release dates in front of me, but Glass I believe that's the first big one up for me for 2019 as well, is Glass. I'm very excited about that. The trailers to me have been very impressive. You know, the Shamhammer's been on a bit of a roll. The Shamhammer, M. Night Shyamalan, he became a joke in Hollywood. Let's be honest. He became a joke in Hollywood. I'm going to be fair, going to be honest here. He became a joke. But then he made that little horror film, The Visit. And I remember watching that going, that's not bad. That little movie, The Visit, with Catherine Hahn, that was a nice little movie. It's like, okay, Shamhammer. And then he does Split. And it's like, all right, now that's called a winning streak. All of a sudden, Shamhammer's on a winning streak. So I'll tell you what, I'm cheering for him. I hope Glass turns out to be as good as it looks, as it does look pretty damn good. And let's see if Shamhammer can return to form. I hope he does. All right, next up. Celerity9 writes, am I horrible for liking Pitbull's Africa in Aquaman? No, I think you're in the minority, but that doesn't make you horrible. If that worked for you there, it worked for you there. And look, I get it. On paper, they're now flying over the Sahara Desert. Play rains in Africa. I get it. On paper, that makes sense. It just felt so out of place for me. All of a sudden, Pitbull starts rapping when they're... I don't know. It felt out of place. But that doesn't mean it didn't work for you. And if it worked for you, man, then it worked for you. And that's awesome. And I'm glad it worked for you. All right. Let's see. Do we got any more here? Okay. First of all, Ibrahim Hamid just sends in a super chat. Thank you so much, Ibrahim. I appreciate that, man. Victor Watson writes... Oh, my disappointment movie of the year, Predator. Yeah, that's got to rank high. That's got to rank very high. Because not only is it Predator, so you're hoping for something great, but it's Shane Black, who is a great director. And Shane Black, I make a fool out of myself all by myself. I don't need help. But Shane Black really made a fool out of me because leading up to Predator, all these people were doubting Predator. I'm like, nah, guys, don't you worry. This is my boy, Shane Black. Shane Black, the guy who just did Nice Guys, and all, he's going to crush this. Shane Black is going to crush this. And I like the trailers. And Shane, you watch, guys. Shane Black is going to crush this, I said. And then I go in and watch the movie. I'm like, oh my God, this is awful. It was awful. So, yeah, I can't disagree with you on that one, Victor. That one ranks pretty damn high in the old disappointment scale. It ranks pretty damn high in the old disappointment scale. All right, let's move on here. Let's see what we got here. Let's see. Douglas Scarborough writes, how about a Batman noir film from the point of view of a victim? Example, kidnapped kid or hostage. We never see Bruce, so we never see who Batman actually is, even as the audience. Thoughts? It's an interesting idea for a story, Douglas. The problem is I don't know that you can sell that. I don't know that the audience is going to run out and see that movie. I think when you have a Batman movie, the audience wants to see it from the Batman's point of view. And I think that's a truism. I think when you market a Batman film, the audience wants to see it from Batman's point of view. They want to spend most of their time with Batman, which is one of the reasons why a lot of people hated that or were mad at that Godzilla movie, the first Godzilla movie. It's called Godzilla, and we don't get to actually spend a lot of time with Godzilla. The camera's not on Godzilla all that much. You have a Batman movie, you don't want to spend most of your time with, Tiki, the dude who is the victim. That's not what the audience is looking for. The audience wants Batman. So while it is an interesting notion, here's a good example of this, Douglas. The show that I watch a lot, Supernatural, every once in a while, they'll do an episode where they tell the story from somebody else's point of view rather than the Winchester brothers. And that's always interesting. And I think you can do that in episodic television. It becomes a more challenging thing when you're making a big motion picture because, again, it comes down to the audience want it from Batman's point of view. You may find a tiny, tiny, tiny percentage of comic book nerds, maybe myself included, that would be into this idea because it's a solid idea. But I don't think any studio would ever greenlight because I don't think it would satisfy the audience. I don't think it would satisfy the audience. That's going to be a problem. Episodic television, totally. Something like a standalone movie becomes a little bit more of a challenge, I think. It's an interesting concept, though, Douglas. I'm glad you brought it up. All right. Let's see. What else we got here? We got, let's see. Thien Ho writes, I love you and you're the best. Thank you so much, Thien. I appreciate that. I was surprised that you don't like the animation style of Into the Spider-Verse because I really enjoyed it. Yeah, man, I wanted to like it. I wanted to dig it. And it was very different. I'll give it that, man. It was different. And different can sometimes be really refreshing. Didn't quite work for me, but that's fine. That's fine. The bottom line is the movie's magnificent. Even though he wasn't the biggest fan of the animation style. And by the way, I am in the minority here. Like most people are like you. Most people really enjoy the animation style and thought it was very fresh and very unique and very innovative and forward thinking. And that's great. And I give it credit for all that stuff. I would have preferred a slightly different style, but hey, whatever. At the end of the day, the movie's magnificent and we all loved it. And ultimately, that's the important thing. All right. Casinema Reviews writes, can we talk about what an awesome year this has been for music and comic book films? Ashes, Everything I Need, Scared of the Dark, yeah. Not to mention score. There have been, I'm still shocked, by the way. I'm going to hijack your topic here, Casinema, because I am still shocked that Ashes did not get isn't up for nomination for Best Song of the Year. Forget the fact that it's from Deadpool. I get it. I have a soft spot for comic book movies. I know. But forget the fact that it was from Deadpool 2. That song is amazing. And I'll tell you right now, it is a better song than Shallows. And I like that song Shallow from A Star Is Born with Bradley Cooper and Lady Gaga. It's a really good song. Ashes is better. Ashes is better. It's a magnificent song. Again, I said this before, Casinema. I will say it again. The only thing I can possibly come up with is that there must have been some technical disqualification. Some technical reason maybe why the song doesn't qualify. That's all I got, because that song is fantastic. And it absolutely not only should have been nominated, it should have been performed at the Academy Awards. But whatever. They went against it. But yes, overall, there's been some great music, Casinema, no doubt. All right, Victor follows up with, Jake Gyllenhaal is a good actor. His performance was so top-notch in Nightcrawler. I love his role in Day After Tomorrow as well. Ooh, that's going back a bit, Day After Tomorrow. Look, Jake Gyllenhaal, He just did that one. I think it was Boston Strong or Stronger. What was the name of it where he was at the Boston bomb? Anyway, he's fantastic in that. Prisoners. He's fantastic in Prisoners. He's fantastic in just about everything. He is one of the finer actors around. You know what? Somebody brought this up the other day. Oh, and I don't think it counts because I do believe he did get an Academy Award nomination for Stronger. I could be wrong about that. Let me just double check that here. Let me double check. Jake Gyllenhaal, IMDb. Okay. Let me just look at his awards thing because I think he did get his first Academy Award. And maybe that wasn't even his first one, but I think that was his first Academy Award nomination. Let's see. Awards for Jake Gyllenhaal. Because he's remarkable. He's just remarkable. And yeah. Oh, no. He didn't get one for The Strong. He got one for Brokeback Mountain. He got an Academy Award nomination for Best Supporting Actor for Brokeback Mountain. Okay, it's good to know because I was about to say, somebody asked me the other day, we talk a lot about who's the best actor without an Oscar. But then somebody brought up who's the best actor without even an Oscar nomination. And for a second there, I was going to say maybe Jake Gyllenhaal, but then I thought he got one for Stronger. But no, he got one for Brokeback Mountain. So he doesn't qualify for that because he does have an Academy Award nomination. But absolutely, the dude is ridiculously good. He's a ridiculously talented dude. That's why when the reports came out, by the way, I was probably the first guy to tell you that Matt Reeves had sat down and met with Jake Gyllenhaal to play Batman. Jake Gyllenhaal was Matt Reeves' first choice. Now, that didn't work out I don't know why it didn't work out. I don't know if Matt Reeves just changed his mind. I don't know if Jake Gyllenhaal turned it down. I don't know how it came about, whatever. But I was all into it. Jake Gyllenhaal's Batman, sold. Great actor. Fabulous actor. Why not? Put him in for that role. Okay. Let's see here. Marcus Robert Johnson writes, boxing's problem, no leadership, UFC problem, dictatorship. If boxing was held to the standard of MMA and MMA to rankings and fighter pay for boxing. Well, I mean, look, I think the dictatorship of MMA works. And here's why. Guys are not allowed to duck fights. And I like that the UFC can say, look, you're the champ. You either fight this guy or we strip you of the belt. No, well, we'll negotiate. No. You're the champion. He's our number one contender. We're saying he's your next fight. So either take the fight or relinquish the belt. You don't get to pick and choose who you want to fight when you're champ. And I like that. I do. I think in something like MMA, I think the dictatorship works. I really do. I think it works quite well. There are so many problems with boxing. First of all, there's 5,000 belts. All right. There's the 112-pound belt. There's the 112.5-pound belt. There's the 113-pound belt. Oh, and by the way, there's 8 different organizations that have their titles. So there's 17 junior middleweight champions in the world who call themselves world champ. I mean, yeah, get out of here. And then plus, I mean, the judging is a joke and all. I got so many problems with boxing. Anyway, the Dr. 14 Blu-ray Reviews writes, Happy Holidays from Pontypridd. I don't know where that is, but now you've put it on my radar. I got to find out where that is. Thank you so much, Doctor. I appreciate that, man. Happy holidays to you as well, my friend. All right. Water Ninja Frog. I like that name. Let's see. Where'd he go? He was just here. There he is. Water Ninja Frog writes, my house got broken into on Wednesday. Oh, that sucks, dude. And I've lost everything, all my movies and games and electronics that I've collected over the past decade. Your videos have kept me sane during all of this. Dude, that sucks. I hope you had like home or renter's insurance that you can get a lot of that replaced. That's awful, man. That is awful. First of all, thank you for saying such a nice thing. And I'm really glad that the community can be here to entertain you and keep you engaged, maybe take your mind off that awful shit. That's terrible, man. So thank you for that. But yeah, that's terrible. Oh man, that's terrible. Yet another reason, kids, don't buy Blu-rays and DVDs anymore. Buy digital because nobody can steal them from you. They're there forever. Anyway, oh, that sucks, man. That really sucks. My best thoughts and well wishes to you, Water Ninja Frog. I hope you have a much better rest of your holiday season than that, because that's an awful violation. No one deserves that, and I'm really, really sorry for that, man. But again, thank you for, in the midst of all that, sharing such a nice comment as well. So thank you for that, dude. I appreciate that. All right. Santez Henderson writes, "Hey, John, I hope you enjoyed your holidays. So far, so good. I still got another week of holidays coming. I'm going to be here. The John Campea Show will return after the weekend of January 5th is when the John Campea Show, back in studio, me and Robert and all that kind of stuff, that will return after January 5th. So I've got so this week's now done. Now I got next week. I'm still on vacation. And then back to LA, back to the in-house studio. But, we're still going to do open mics from here because we all like talking about movies on the holidays as well. But thank you for that, Santez. And Water Ninja Frog just follows up. Just wanted to say thank you for helping me. No, man, thank you. Thank you for being here. And thanks for being a part of the film fan community. And that thank you is not just for me. It's for everybody here. Everybody in the chat board. We're all this big movie fan community together. And I'm glad it can be here for you in that. And again, man, I hope it gives you a little bit of an oasis from all that crap you got to deal with, man. That sucks. That just sucks. So sorry to hear about that, dude. All right. Tom Elam writes, why was there no talk of getting Jeremy Irons back as the voice of Scar? Surely he's just as iconic as Mufasa. Look, I love Jeremy Irons, and I loved him as Scar. But, look, just because you bring one guy back doesn't mean you now automatically have to start looking at others. Why wasn't there? Because you recast. You recasted. Why wasn't there any talk of Jonathan Taylor Thomas coming back as Simba? Why wasn't there any talk of Ferris Bueller coming back as Simba as well? Why wasn't there any talk? Well, they did the one guy. And I'm the type of guy that I'm like, if you're rebooting, reboot. You use different cast members. The only two exceptions I'll make is getting J.K. Simmons back as J. Jonah Jameson. I'd be totally down for that. And James Earl Jones as Mufasa, right? And that's fine. But just because there's that doesn't mean no. I prefer the idea of going out. I would not have complained if they got Jeremy Irons back, but I wouldn't say that he's just as iconic as James Earl Jones's voice. I wouldn't say that. I think he's awesome and I think he's great, but I wouldn't go that far. Personally, I wouldn't go that far. That's just me. Let's see. Angel Von Gollum writes, John, over under 80%. Endgame's opening scene blows our socks off. It would be awesome if it was a small story twist to get us enthralled and mega sweaty. I mean, obviously, the MCU with their Avengers films, they like to start their Avengers films with a big bang, right? They like to start with a bang. The original Avengers did. Ultron did, with the whole Avengers assault on that one of the last standing Hydra castles. I have very, very little doubt. And then obviously Infinity War started off the bang with the Asgardian ship and with Thor and Hulk and Thanos beating Hulk. I mean, they like to start things off big. So I will take the over 80% that they'll go for that. Now, whether they accomplish it or not, we'll have to wait and see. But I think there's a good chance they're going to they're not going to start slow. I think there's going to be something big that happens at the beginning. I'm guessing the movie starts with Ant-Man. That's my guess. My guess is the movie starts with Ant-Man getting himself out of the quantum realm. That's my guess. All right. Let's see. What else do we got here? Marcus Robert Johnson writes, what's the difference between a game and a sport? Well, I think in a sport you have to be athletic. That's the thing to me. You got to be an athlete. You don't need to be an athlete to be a curler. And I'm sorry, when you look at Major League Baseball and you got a lot of guys in Major League Baseball are in great physical shape, but you also get a lot of guys in Major League Baseball who look like they've been chugging beers on the couch for 20 years, but they're great baseball players. I would not qualify them as athletes. If you can't run a 100-yard dash, I don't know that you're an athlete. So to me, it's, does this particular endeavor require you to be an athlete in order to participate? If yes, I call it a sport. If not, I'll call it a game. That's just my own internal kind of definition. That's just me, though. That's just me. Santez Henderson writes, because of you, I've done a full 180 on Man of Steel. I was one of those that liked aspects of it, but overall never won me over until now. You know what the funny thing is, Santez? every single person that I have sat down with to watch Man of Steel again, I have sat down with no less than 5 people I could name off the top of my head that saw Man of Steel once and either didn't like it or thought it was meh. And then I sat down with them to watch it for a second time and they go, you know what, that was better than I remember. I like it. Just, to me, Man of Steel is one of these movies that gets better and better every time you see it. And you can't say that. A lot of even my favorite movies of all time, I can't say that about. But with Man of Steel, it just gets better every time I see it. So I'm glad. I mean, it's totally cool if you don't like Man of Steel. That's fine. But I'm glad you're one of those people, Santez, that you're one of those people who also gained an appreciation for the greatness that is Man of Steel. All right, let's move on here. Derek Woodron writes, hey, John, hoping your time with family is keeping a smile on your face. It is. Actually, this morning, me and my dad went out for breakfast. We went out early this morning, went and grabbed breakfast together. It was really nice. He took me to this little family-owned place in the middle, because my family like lives in the middle of nowhere. We're just like 20 minutes outside of Hamilton, but it's all country out here. Like it's all country. Like my family has a 200-acre ranch here, and we went to this little, out of the hole in the wall place, had breakfast. It was great. I'm having a wonderful time. This afternoon, I'm taking Anne and Ray into town to go to the mall that I grew up hanging out in, Lime Ridge Mall in Hamilton, Ontario. It's the mall that I grew up hanging out in, and I'm going to take them to go hang out there this afternoon, do a little bit of shopping too. But I am having a great time. Thanks so much for the well wishes, Derek. I appreciate that. All right. Let's see. Just a couple more, I think. Kane writes, happy holidays, Pisces. Everybody's got to throw in the Pisces thing. Have you seen Leave No Trace? 100% on Rotten Tomatoes, second highest rating of the year. Ben Foster is great, and no Oscar talk about it. Yeah, first of all, it's the one he's with his daughter, right? It's the one with the little girl. It's one of those things where it's a type of movie. I enjoyed it. I give it a thumbs up, but it's one of those movies I think everybody enjoys, but not a lot of people would give it like an 8 or a 9 out of 10. I think everybody enjoyed it, would give it a 6, give it a 7, like a positive thumbs up, and you get that really high rating. I didn't realize it was at 100% rating. But yeah, I even though I like it, and I think Ben Foster is the single most underrated actor in the world. Ben Foster is the single most underrated actor in the world, in my opinion. That dude's a beast when it comes to acting. Just absolutely a beast. So, but look, as somebody who likes him and liked the movie, I'm comfortable with no Oscar buzz. I'm comfortable with it. It was a really good movie. It's enjoyable. And yeah, and that's where it was. So anyway, that's just my opinion. Some people feel different, obviously. By the way, if you haven't seen it, do check it out. And if you haven't looked more into Ben Foster, check more into Ben Foster. This dude is remarkable. He's absolutely ridiculously good. All right. Let's see here. Derek Woodron writes, with Mortal Engines bombing, what other films with interesting stories never got a sequel that you wanted? Mine's Push. Push was interesting with Chris Evans. That one was interesting. Aragon, that was just a horrible movie. And I Am Number 4. By the way, I Am Number 4 is one I would have been down for checking out. I Am Number 4 was this little sci-fi movie, and I'm trying to remember the girl's name who's one of the stars of it. She was in that 80s or that 90s movie thing. She was dating Zac Efron at the time. But whatever, they're aliens. They got these powers. I thought it was a very interesting little film. And it was one of those movies where, even though I didn't think I Am Number 4 was a great movie, I thought it was okay. I thought it had great potential, though. I thought it had really good potential. Potential for more movies, potential to develop their mythology, potential to move forward, to make the next one better than that one. The reality was, though, that I Am Number 4 never really, took off at the box office. So that kind of sealed its fate. Aragon was just terrible. That movie was so bad. And it was set up to do a sequel. They ended it, with John Malkovich, look at my dragon, woo! So they totally set it up for a sequel, but, the movie flopped, and it deservedly flopped. It was awful. It was awful. The one I always wanted a sequel to was Mystery Men. Mystery Men was a superhero movie way ahead of its time. I think if Mystery Men came out today for the first time, it would be a massive hit. I really do. But that's one I would want to see. Hank Azaria, William H. Macy, Ben Stiller, Gina Garofalo, Pee Wee Herman, Jeffrey Rush, on and on and on and on. Captain Amazing, Casanova Frankenstein, The Disco Boys. The movie's amazing. That's the one I've always really wanted to see. All right, let's try this. Victor Watson writes, I was so shocked when Chucky made his appearance in Ready Player One. So freaking cool. Being a horror fan, I can't believe I waited so long to watch. Love when they put those goggles or glasses on. I felt like I was in that world. See, that's the thing. The movie did such a great job of immersing the audience in the world. And I think, Victor, that could you have made the visual effects more realistic? Yes. But everybody who says that, I respond to them by saying, don't forget though, this isn't supposed to be real. This is supposed to be a virtual world that they're in. And these would be what avatars in there would look like. And therefore, I thought the design was spectacular. And now look, that Chucky reference in Ready Player One is one of the great, well, first of all, it's the greatest Chucky line in any Chucky movie. And Ready Player One isn't even a Chucky movie. And it's the greatest single moment for Chucky, I think, in cinematic history. Chucky has never had a finer moment on the big screen than he did in Ready Player One. Fucking Chucky. I mean, that was great. That was absolutely great and fantastic. And again, though, it's the way they designed everything and the aesthetic they gave it and the whole, the look and the feel. Because you're right. If they made it any differently, I don't know that we would have that effect, that we really felt like we were ushered into that world. But because they designed it like that, it really did feel like you and I were putting on that virtual headset and boom, being transported into the Oasis. I think that's what it's called, right? It's called the Oasis in the game. I think they just wouldn't have had that same effect. And because they did it that way, it brought us there. And because we were brought there, we were able to suspend disbelief and buy into this whole world and the battles that ensued and all that kind of stuff. And it was great. And see some of our favorite pop culture icons, obviously also including Chucky. And Chucky being a part of that. So that was a great moment for sure, Victor. And by the way, that was a big super chat you sent. And so my appreciations for that, man. Thank you so much for supporting the channel that way. And totally agree with you on that. Absolutely, totally agree with you on that. So thanks for sharing that, Victor. All right, let's see here. Oh, we took another jump. Where was Victor? There is Victor. Okay. So now we go down to Tinnis Flato Mendoza writes, if you get into movies, you want to be an A-lister, character actor, or something behind the camera. Oh, me? Producing. I wrote, directed, and produced my own movie, The Anniversary. Mostly because I wanted to, number one, because everybody says they want to make a movie. I'm the type of person that I don't like just to say I'm going to do something. I like to actually do it. Everybody talks about, I want to write a book. Well, then write a book. Nobody's stopping you. So I wrote a book. I want to make a movie. Well, then go ahead and make a movie. Nothing's stopping you. Go make a movie. So I went and made a movie. And one of the big reasons besides just wanting to do it, because everybody talks about doing it, but nobody does it, was I wanted to gain an appreciation for what writers and directors and producers and what these people go through to make it. And I thought by doing it, I might gain a better appreciation for it. And I certainly did. What I really discovered doing it, though, is that my real passion is producing. That's my real passion, is producing. And I think that's where it is. So for me, Tinnis Flato, if I could just jump into the movie business and get plugged in right away, it would be as a producer behind the camera. I'm no actor. I'm no performer. I've got a face for radio. But producing is something I'd really like to do. Let's see here. Sharon Carter writes, let's see. Thoughts on Donnie Brasco is on AFI Gangster List. Oh, I love Donnie Brasco. Now, I know you were asking a little bit earlier about favorite Johnny Depp films. I still put Finding Neverland above it, and I still put the first Pirates of the Caribbean above it. But Donnie Brasco is a solid film. And the on-screen dynamic he had with Al Pacino, I believe it was Al Pacino, right? Correct me if I'm wrong, chap word if I'm wrong, but I believe it was Al Pacino. I totally dug that movie. So fun. And you know what? It's probably a movie that does not get mentioned enough. And I'm glad it's on that AFI list because we talk about gangster movies, and obviously it's totally understandable why we first immediately go to Godfather. We go to Godfather 2. We go to Goodfellas. We go to this movie. Donnie Brasco's a really solid little film, and it probably doesn't get the credit it deserves, Sharon. So thanks for bringing that up. All right, let's see here. There's the next one. I knew there was another. Okay, Shane Normand writes, How do you enjoy seeing a movie multiple times? Oh, because look, if a movie's good and it's a good experience, why not do it again? To me, that's like saying, you like cookies and cream ice cream? But how can you eat it again? Didn't you already eat a bowl of cookies and cream ice cream 2 weeks ago? Why would you want to do that again? You ate a hamburger? How do you enjoy doing it again? Like, to me, that's the exact same thing. Movies are experiential things. And if I love the experience of watching a movie, I'm going to want to do it again. Much like if I love the experience of sex, I like doing it again. If I like the experience of eating some Oreo cookies and cream ice cream, at some point, I'm going to do it again. If I like the experience of a nice filet mignon steak, at some point, I'm going to want to do it again. If I like the experience of a good massage, I'm going to want to do it again. Why? My question would be, if you like a movie and it's a great experience for you, why wouldn't you do it again? How could you not enjoy do it again? That's kind of, now we're all different and we all receive things in different ways. So I get it. That's fine. But yeah, to me, when you ask a question like, how do you enjoy seeing a movie multiple times? It's like, how do you enjoy ice cream multiple times? Because it's a good experience and you look forward to doing it again. So that's why when I find a movie I really like and I have a good time watching theater, I'll go back and watch it 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 times. Because it's a good experience. It's fun. So anyway, that's just me. Not everybody's like that, but that's kind of the way I am. All right. Let's see here. I think these are the last 2 questions of the day. Yes, or last 3 questions of the day, I should say. Please, guys, again, I'm going to ask again, please do not send in any more. I really want to wrap these up and move on. So please, no more questions. Jethro Owl writes, hey, B-Boy Pisces. Yeah, that was me. I love the house that Jack built. Oh, yeah, that was really nice. The house that Jack built by Lons von Trier. Any interest in that movie and overall thoughts on von Trier as a director? Von Trier is one of these guys who artistically really pushes the envelope. And sometimes when you do that, von Trier likes to just kind of push people's buttons. And to some degree, that's what most filmmakers should do. But sometimes there's pushing buttons just for the sake of pushing buttons. And I also find von Trier kind of falls into that category sometimes. Sometimes he's just being provocative for the sake of being provocative. And that when you're being provocative for the sake of trying to push the envelope and to, make people look at things from a different point of view, that's one thing. But sometimes some people just push buttons for the hell of it. Just to be a troll in a way. And I think he can be that as well. House that Jack built, I thought was quite nice. I enjoyed that one quite a bit myself. All right. Jason on GoCo writes, you have this Best Picture Oscar nomination all wrong. Kevin Feige wins for Best Picture. Sure, he wins. Oh, do you mean Black? I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know if you mean Best Picture or Black Panther. Anyway, guys, please don't use abbreviations. Please just write out the words. You have this Black Panther Oscar nom all wrong. Kevin Feige wins for Black Panther. Sure, he wins for Infinity War, but why not kill 2 birds with 1 stone? First of all, Kevin Feige is not nominated for anything. So I don't know what it is you're talking about, Jason. I'm not quite sure what it is you're alluding to or what it is you're talking about. Next time, just flesh out your thoughts a little bit more because clearly you have an idea here and I want to address it, but since I'm not quite sure what it is you're saying, I can't really give it the justice it deserves by addressing it properly. All right. Last question of the day, I think. Let's see. C.N writes, was the Mera and Aquaman meeting in the newest movie a continuity error? I thought they already knew each other in Justice League. Yeah. They didn't meet for the first time in Aquaman. She makes reference to their meeting when he fought minor. This means if you haven't seen Aquaman, don't worry about it. This is not really a spoiler. But when Mera and Aquaman are first on screen together in Aquaman and they see each other for the first time, she mentions the fact that they had that moment when he fought Steppenwolf in Justice League. So it's not a continuity error. She directly talks about it. Right? But he never got her name in the first movie. he knew who she was when they met. She knew they had met before in Justice League, and she references them meeting. So, nope, not a continuity error at all. Brett Brooks writes, have you watched Mowgli, Legend of the Jungle? I've been asked that like 6 or 7 times if I've seen that. Yes, I have seen it. I actually didn't think it was very good. I love Andy Serkis. I think he's great. I've been lucky enough to meet and hang out with Andy Serkis and talk and chat with him a bit on several occasions. The dude's amazing. I love the guy, and I was really looking forward to Mowgli. I knew it was a red flag when Warner Brothers dumped it off onto Netflix. And then it came out on Netflix. I watched it right away, very excited. And to be honest with you, it didn't do it for me. I honestly didn't think it was all that good. I didn't think it was a dumpster fire. I didn't think it was terrible. I didn't think it was bad. I mean, I don't think it was awful. It just wasn't all that good. So I myself was a little bit disappointed with it. All right. Now, final question of the day. Comes to us from Godzilla Time, who writes, we are Groot. We are family. Van Diesel, I think you mean Vin Diesel, said family in the Guardians of the Galaxy. Well, if that was your interpretation of We Are Groot, if that is your interpretation of We Are Groot, and I gotta say, I like the way your head's thinking here. It is kind of him doing the old Dominic Toretto thing and saying that. So, okay, you know what? I'll buy into it. I'll buy into that one with you, Godzilla, that when he says We Are Groot, he's actually saying we are family. I'll buy into your theory because it makes it all one big shared universe. Dominic Toretto is going to rise up and save the galaxy. He's going to take the gauntlet from Thanos and save the MCU. It all ties in together. All right, guys, that will do it for today's installment of Open Mic. Thank you so much for coming along and being along for the ride with me, guys. Hey, guys, we are going to have a video tomorrow. So make sure you come back around and stick around for that as well. I am on vacation. Once again, for those of you wondering, why am I not in my studio? Why does, the set not look right? Well, because I'm actually up in Canada visiting, using some very questionable internet, but I think we actually got through today's stream just fine. Maybe we'll be lucky for the rest of the week as well, and we'll get through the whole thing. So anyway, guys, thank you so much for being here. My name's John Campea, and until the next video, bye-bye.